32 points.
I have nothing to say.
What's up guys, J&O here. Hope you're all having a good day and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League Game Week 12 review, and let's look at where it all went wrong. Now as you can see, it all went wrong everywhere apart from Kane and Vardinho, Jamie Vardy. They're the only ones that actually came through for me. Mahrez gave the penalty to Vardy, so I suppose having two Leicester players, I run that risk of not getting the points with Mahrez. But everyone else did nothing. Pella, nothing. De Bruyne, nothing against Villa. It was one of those game weeks where I thought it wasn't going to go that well. I just had that really bad feeling, especially after the first game, Newcastle versus Bournemouth. I watched the game, Bournemouth were all over Newcastle. I was thinking maybe Francis can get a cheeky header in there, get a goal, at least he's going to get a clean sheet. Then Jose Perez broke away and they had one shot, one goal. 2 shots only in the game and they won. I've forgotten how many shots Bournemouth had, but it was a lot more than that. So yeah, I was gutted. It's a bad game week. But let's look at the pluses, let's look at everyone else and see how they did. As you can see, it's all red arrows for me, apart from in Kirkjoy's head-to-head league, where the gap between the people above me and the people below me was big enough that it didn't make any difference. Fortunately, I've dropped in the Certified Premier League from 25th to 36th. So I'm still in the top 40 odd, but all the good work that happened to me in Game Week 11 has been destroyed by this game week pretty much. And as you can see in the Certified Super League, I'm no longer top, I've dropped to second. So let's go have a look at how that's happened. As you can see, Rob H26 has broken away from me because he managed to get a victory, whereas I lost to Hitless Wonders. They managed to get 41 points, they were below the average, and if you look, no one in my league managed to get over 60 points. That's the type of game week it was. Rob H26 managed to get 35 points, it would have beaten me, and it only just beat his opponent who was on 31. I now just have to pray that Rob H loses his next match so I can close the gap again. If we have a look at Hitless Wonders, where he went right and where I went wrong is he had Butland in goal. If I'd put Butland in goal, I'd have had an extra 10 points and I'd still lost to the average, but at least my game week score wouldn't have been so bad. He also has Chris Smalling. Manchester United have been great defensively this season, whereas none of my defenders did anything, and those two players are probably the reason that he picked up the win against me. I say probably, but apart from company, they are the reason that he did better than me this week. We move on to Kirkjoy's head-to-head league, and I lost the average, and let's move on. We move to the Certified Premier League, and top of the table is a very creative club name, J&O Hates Me. Now I need everyone to try and beat him to the top, because if I'm going to do this review for the next 26 weeks, having to look at J&O Hates Me at the top, this might be quite painful. He didn't have a great game week either, Callum Sims. He didn't do that well either this week. He got 38 points. It was one of those game weeks where the top players generally didn't get a great game week score. Elliot Rose-Marks takes second place back, getting 46 points, which is above the average, so he's back in second. And Lado FC by Trevor managed to get 39 points, and they've got third, just above Mark Solonin and FC 78. A very similar recurring theme to Callum Sims' team as to why he might be slightly better than me. If you look, he's got a defender that actually got a clean sheet and a goalkeeper that actually got a decent score. Other than that, his midfield blanked and his forwards did, apart from Kane. Elliot Rose-Marks back in second place. He had a good game week compared to everyone else. As you can see again, he had a defender that actually got a decent score, but the reason he leaped above the rest is because he captained Jamie Vardy. Now why I haven't done it yet, I have no idea. He scored in 9 consecutive games, one away from equaling Ruud van Nistelrooy's record, and Ruud van Nistelrooy did it in 2 seasons, not in 1. So I don't know why it's taken me this long to think, just captain Jamie Vardy. He will score, and they're going to give him the penalties at the moment because they want that record to continue. And then finally Trevor's team, again he had a defender that actually got a decent score in Kolarov, and he had the man Jamie Vardy. I think if you don't have Jamie Vardy now, you're not paying attention. And finally, part of the series that I think you guys are interested in and looking forward to whenever I do these videos, I'm going to try and do it on both the review and the preview. So I'm going to look at your teams when you ask me to and give my thoughts on them. I said leave your team names in the comments, but if you could also leave a link to your team or leave a screenshot to your team, send it to me. Unfortunately, some of you aren't in my league, at least that I can see. So join the league. I'll leave a link to my league and I'll also leave the code, should be somewhere on the screen right now. If you're in my league, you can just leave your team name and I'll find it in my league. If you're not in the league, I need something else to just see your team. You can tweet me as well. I'll leave my Twitter just up there. And let's have a look at Thomas McCarthy's team. Okay, with your goalkeeper situation, I'm presuming you're going for goalkeepers that are quite cheap. That means you can stack your team in other areas. So I'm not going to say anything about your goalkeepers, although I will say you need to get Myhill out as soon as Foster is back from injury, because Myhill has risen in price, and as soon as Foster's back, I can see him dropping in price, so you have to keep an eye on that. The only defender I would be worried about is Ashley Williams. I personally think Swansea are on a downward turn now. I want to get rid of Andre Ayew as well. They've just not been performing recently, and I'm not sure they're going to get the clean sheets that they could potentially have gotten with the form that they had at the start of the season. Now, who I would go for, I would look at the top teams that are getting the most clean sheets, because that's the most guaranteed way of getting points with your defenders. And top of that table is Man United. Smalling has been having a blinder, but any Man United defender would get the job done. You've also got Man City, Arsenal, West Brom. That's where you can get someone slightly cheaper. I think Johnny Evans has probably risen in price by now, but he would be probably still less than 5 million. Southampton and Watford take up the last two spots. Southampton's defence is pretty good, and Watford have been the surprise package, actually getting quite a few clean sheets, and Neom has reminded me of that as he keeps getting good point scores on my bench because I've picked him as a cheap defender and keep thinking he may concede. As for your midfield is good. Houlihan is obviously a cheap midfielder, but I would say he's not always playing the whole game. So maybe you could look at other cheap midfielders. I'm not sure if the price of Nathan Redmond is similar to Houlihan, but that would be a straight swap, same team. But the big issue, and I think it's a big issue for a lot of people, is Dimitri Payet. Now, a lot of people are transferring him out quickly because they don't want to lose any value in their squad, because Payet will drop in price. The problem with the international break is, and it was very evident last international break, is that injuries can happen in these games. And if you transferred someone in that immediately gets injured, that's another transfer you're using, and your score is going to go down. At the end of the day, it's the score that your team gets that chooses your ranking, not the club value. I'm going to wait until the international break is over and then swap Payet out. The players I'm looking at are as follows. I don't think you can look past Ozil. He's been very consistent at the moment. I know you may not want a double up of Sanchez and Ozil, because I've still got Sanchez. Ozil has been on form at the moment and very consistent. Tadic from Southampton has also been very good recently. He may be an under the radar choice because most people are going for Pella and Mane. And Coutinho. Coutinho's actually had the most shots on goal after Sanchez, and he seems to be settling in well under Jurgen Klopp, so maybe we could see something happen there. And then, this is a bit of a punt, but I'd say Manuel Lanzini. Straight swap, same team, but with Payet out, maybe Lanzini is the one to step up and start creating stuff for that West Ham side. And if we have a look at your strikers, I'm not going to say anything about Jamie Vardy, but I will say I'm personally not feeling that confident in Pella, and personally Gomez has been dropping off. So if you're looking to change them out, the players I would look at are Lukaku. Everton are on a good run of form right now with very easy fixtures, and it's someone I kind of wish I brought in. But the other player I'd suggest is Harry Kane. He has now started scoring goals as well, and I would say both of them are probably better options for around the same price. I know Kane is a little bit more expensive. I can't suggest forwards without saying Agolo. He has been on form as well. He's cheap. He will enable you to bring in Aguero, because if you take out Gomez or take out Pella, put in Agolo, that's about $1 million at least that you should be getting. That can enable you to maybe get Aguero back into the side. And then with Theo Walcott out, I would say Oliver Giroud. He actually has some of the best stats, underlying stats for a striker at the moment, so he may step up and score a lot of goals. But of course the Arsenal situation, as always, is which Arsenal player do you pick? Anyway guys, that is all for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed my misery at the beginning, and if you had a good game week. Remember, if you want me to review your side and you're not in my league, join my league or tweet me your team. I've been JNO, you've been awesome, and remember, it's all about the game.